All right, everyone, we are live. I'm here with my good friend Aleeza Ben Shalom from the Jewish Matchmaking. Those that are tuning in, we're actually going to just come and check online. We'll be taking questions live from LinkedIn. You can ask it in the LinkedIn event if you're on LinkedIn. If you're on Twitter, go ahead. I pinned it to the top of my profile, and feel free to comment, and we'll pull up questions that way. We're going to talk about everything about what the heck is making of a Netflix special? What does that mean? What is Jewish matchmaking? How is matchmaking in the Jewish world different than the rest of the world? And maybe a little bit about kind of like the process, how you choose who you wanted to have on, just like basically like a behind the scenes, right? So I feel like
tell you whatever you want to know.
Awesome. Whatever. Okay.
All right, I got you retweeted on Twitter, but I can't find you on Facebook.
And then it should have been on Facebook. I had to log in, guys, for the first time in years.
Yeah, I totally don't see it on Facebook.
I had it to reset my 2FA. All right. You don't see it then. Okay, if it's not there, then it's not there. There we are. It's on my profile. There it is. It was not public because it's StreamYard. All right. Anyway, I will
make it public.
Edit audience. Yes, make it public. Public.
Good. Now I can do something about it.
There we go. Refresh. You can save, or you can find me on Facebook and ask questions there. Terrific. All right. So
there we are. Nice job, friend.
Lovely. All right. We're all learning technology together. Okay, beautiful. So Aleeza, if anyone has any questions, drop them in the chat and we will bring them on. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to ask is how the heck does one get a Netflix special? Most people feel that it's so far. I think I'm brilliant. I deserve a special, right? So does everyone else. But what do you do? What do you do? What is it that you were able to do to actually attract a Netflix special? And we should probably go back and talk about maybe your backstory and how one gets into a career of matchmaking.
Okay, so starting with a career of matchmaking, I was home with 2 little kids. We have 5 kids now, but I was home with 2 little babies, and there was lots of baby talk. And I love children, but the baby talk was a little bit much. And I was looking for some adult interaction. And a girlfriend of mine is like, why don't you do some matchmaking? And I said, okay. She goes, there's this website. You can do the matchmaking. The singles don't swipe. Nobody does anything. You just set them up. It's a matchmaker only website.
So it's kind of like you see a bunch of, you have a portal, let's say, of men, of women, basically, let's say, shit up profiles, dating profiles or CVs, right, dating resumes. And then you say, I think this person be that person without ever meeting them.
Usually you call them on the phone, you say hello, you introduce yourself.
So what are the screening questions you ask?
For me, I like to know their history, where they came from. On the profile, I get a whole lot of data, like where they went to school and who their mentors are and who their contacts are and what they're looking for. Like, I really get a lot of information. So when I'm doing a screening call, it's less about data and it's more about personality, persona, what they really want. Because I already have a vibe of who they are, but not from knowing them, only from a piece of paper. So I need that piece of paper to be 3D to me, as opposed to just flat.
Got it. So okay, this is a fun question. What do people lie about the most on their dating profile?
Their age and their height.
Okay.
Okay, so men go an inch or 2 taller and 5 or 7 years lower, depends on the age. And women, sometimes the taller ones will make themselves shorter, the shorter ones will make themselves taller, and the age. Yeah.
How does one get away with? I can see one trying to get away with height an inch. How does one lie about their age? Isn't that a bad start? There's nothing. Find out quickly.
Yeah, so it's kind of like the speed limit. It's just like a suggestion. Who goes 35? I mean, Israel, it's different in America. Like it says, 25. 30.
Yeah, do you ever suggest? No, driving under the speed limit is slow.
It's annoying.
Right. Yeah. Right. It should be a speed minimum.
Right? Correct. So, but listen, with age, when I first started in this industry, I was like, oh my gosh, you're lying. You're like literally lying. Well, you want to start a whole relationship based on a lie. And I learned that they're not lying to you. More than anything, they're lying to themselves. Yeah. And it's hard because I don't accept who I am and where I am and my age. And you could say like, oh, well, they're not ready. Well, no, they were ready like 5 years ago already, and it still didn't happen yet. And they aged up, but they didn't mentally age out of it yet. And they're still trying to live their dreams. And it's hard. I mean, my heart goes out to people. If I was in that position, I'm a very straight person. Like, I'm a truth seeker, so I probably wouldn't be able to do that. I wouldn't be able to pull it off, but I can understand and see why people do it now. Not when I first started in this career in 2007. I couldn't see it then, but now I've seen it hundreds of times. So it doesn't shock me anymore.
That's so fascinating. So when you speak, this was the first thing you tell them. Do you say like, what here from your profile is true?
No, it goes like this. So if you're talking to a man, and you're like, okay, so like you're, mid 40s, something. They're like, yeah, like, mid 40s. I was like, okay, 48 and a half. Like, no, really, I'm only 47. Or so they'll like, push back. I'm like, okay, there's 48 in 2 months. And they're like, no. Like I play with them a little bit because I know it's not true.
Right, it's hard. That's funny because you don't want to call them out, but you want them to come on their own to be true.
Look, I'm not looking to tell them to change their profile. And if they leave it like that, they're going to have to figure out how to explain that to somebody. It's not my problem, it's theirs. And overall, again, we're all creating our story. So whether it's about age or what we do or what we've accomplished in life or where we come from, everybody is polishing themselves. And polishing yourself puts your best self forward, but it sometimes puts forward something that's not exactly authentic.
Right. So like you might want to be in front of a camera and show your best side, but you don't want to.
So for example, my left side is my bad side, and I'm really mad at Yoel because he's sitting on my good side, and you need to see this side because this is my fabulous
side. This is my good side.
No, see, this is my dimple side. My face is a little bit more even. It looks so much better. This is not my good side.
I'll take all the blame.
I'm mad at him.
Could have been here earlier.
See this? They didn't, by the way, in the show. They hardly filmed me on this side. And
I want to get to the show.
But they said we're sorry when we did.
I want to get caught up on your career and how you got here, and then we got a bunch of questions in the shows. Hey, guys, you can ask your questions, and we'll address them when we get up to it. Okay, so you were great. So you got it. So you did it great. A lot of people probably did a little bit like
oh my gosh, there's over 500 matchmakers on this website. There's probably more now.
Okay.
Okay.
And then let's not over that. So that's how you started.
Yeah.
How does one get from that, or let's say community, or just like a rabbi in the community, or rabbis in the community that cares about setting people up and help supporting and growing the community and giving people meaning in their life and helping them find the love of their life? How does one make that leap from that to like helping everyone else, and especially growing up in America? You're from Philadelphia. I'm from where I know you from. Probably tell people full disclosure. I've known you forever. You're at my wedding. You were at the birth of my 11-year-old daughter. You were in the operating room when my wife had a C-section. So we go way back. And Don and my brother lived in your basement. Right? My brother lived in your basement for a while.
I coached him before.
And you coached him.
I can't believe I didn't think of that shit up. I'm mad.
Right?
I'm mad about that one.
You should have. And now it makes sense, but it's funny. So anyway, so we have finally a long history, known you for a long time.
Yeah.
But how does one go from like, okay, I'm local, so you're serving the Philly Jewish community.
Yeah.
But like, how would you know that maybe someone is in LA, or like, how do you expand beyond the community?
Okay.
How did you get there?
Okay, so first of all, I don't know if you remember this, but I did a business accelerator course in 2013, and you were doing some business thing in Philadelphia, and you helped me a little bit.
Yeah, a little social media. Yeah, you wrote me a recommendation. I'm like, oh,
right, you remember that? No, but what you did for me, remember you made the application for Tribe 12, which was the business accelerator course. That was
oh my God, it was so old ago.
That was my kickoff. That was 10 years ago. I just went back for the 10-year anniversary, and they let me MC the event.
That's cool.
Yeah. And I was like, right. So I was here standing on the stage 10 years ago with my belly pregnant, 7 months pregnant with my 5th child. Okay. You got me into that accelerator program by helping me apply.
Oh my God.
Right.
So long ago.
And then I'm there. And now here I am 10 years later.
Amazing. Well, okay. But you get all the credit. But okay. So you got into the accelerator. But then how did it expand from the community? How did one expand from the community?
The database of matchmakers has singles from all over the whole world. So it's not just LA. It's got South America and South Africa and Australia and London and Europe. It's just Israel all over. So it's an international Jewish database of singles. So wherever the singles were from, that's who I worked with. And then because it's a database, you just work within their network. So whoever they are, you pick up that network. And I was taking calls at all sorts of the day and night because, from Philadelphia, I think Australia was like 14 hours ahead. And we're like, okay, if it's 11 p.m. my time, it's early your mind. Can we make it work? And it was constantly a coordination, and also wait until the kids go to bed. So as my kids aged up, my hours of work got later. So I was able to work while they were while they went to school. Then they come home from school. Then we do dinner. Then bedtime's 8 o'clock. Oh, good. I could get on the phone by 8:30. Oh, bedtime's 9 o'clock. Okay, 9:30. Oh, now you got big kids. Bedtime's like 9:30, 10 o'clock.
That's how you adjusted it.
Yeah.
So, but most people they were just doing it and try to set people up through the website, and then you went and.
So I took this business accelerator course and I said, I don't want to just help singles. I want to train matchmakers and coaches to do what I'm doing. So I created a training program for them. And I don't want to just help singles local. I want to help them all over the world. And I want to have the greatest effect that I can have in this industry. Some people, you know, like to just do their own thing in their own little world. And I'm like, go big or go home. That's it. I'm either going to do it. I'm going to change the world in a really significant way, or it's not my thing. I'll find something else. And when I finally found this for me was my everything.
When did you know that I, quote, found this? You felt like, this is my mission. I'm going all in to change the world via this.
So I started in 2007 as a matchmaker. In 2011, my husband said, look, I need you to like go to work and I need you to help pay the bills. The housing industry took a nosedive in 2008. We're not really making it. We got a bunch of kids. You know, can you help me out? I was like, oh, I have a job. I'm a matchmaker. And he's like,
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
I don't care what you do, sweetheart. I just need you to get paid, the electricity, the water, the food, the car, the insurance. Like, I just need your help. And I was like, oh, it doesn't exactly work that way. He goes, right. So you can do that. That can be your hobby. You can love it. It can be your passion, but I need you to get a job. And I was like, no, this is the most important thing in the world. This is the only thing I want to do. He's like, great. So build a business, get paid. And I was like, oh, okay.
It's not a hobby.
It's not a hobby. It's not a tested. It's not my kindness only. It was just what I was doing in the meantime while I had time. Literally, I'd get in carpool line. Somebody would call. I'm like, you got 3 minutes until I got screaming kids in the car. Go. They're like, how are you? I'm like, fine. What do you need? I'm here for you. Let me help you now. Let me help you now. And I would do it. And we would just, and any time that the kids weren't with me, or sometimes they were, okay, guys, go be busy, go play outside. Hi, what do you need? I'm here for you. Constantly texting and calling. And it just started out as a passion and a love and a chesed and a kindness that I was doing for the world. And then it became, you can do this, but it needs to be a business so that you can do it full time and seriously. Or you could do this on the side of doing something else that you love and just, it'll be your little side passion.
So when you went in and decided, this is for the entrepreneurs out there, do what you love and do your passionate about, which I'm, by the way, I don't support. I think for most,
don't support?
I think it's a terrible strategy. I think you should find what you're good at and go in on that.
I was good at that, and I love it.
You're different. I understand. It's an exception. Most people, look, I'm passionate about baseball. I was never going to be first baseman for the Phillies. I was never going to be in the minor leagues. I love baseball. I was obsessed with baseball as a boy. There just wasn't that for me, right? So I just know, okay, I wasn't good enough for it. You move on from your passion, like your husband said.
Had you played in Israel, you could have been popular.
Been popular, still made no money.
Competition.
And made no money. So what do we do? So when you decided to once you said, okay, I'm going to try to make a little bit of living out of this, help support my family. How many hours did you start working once you made that switch from this thing I'm passionate, hobbying to I'm going to turn this into a career or support my family?
I was 8 months pregnant with my 4th child, and I got myself a business coach. And she said, I'm going to tell you how to take 5 potential clients, these people that you're working with for free, and turn them into clients.
Beautiful.
So I took 5 clients. She said, create a 6-week program, run them through your program, and boom, that's how you get started. And from 5 came 10, and 10, 15, 20. And I said, listen, hi, I'm going to have a baby in a couple weeks, but I'll be able to start with you. If you want to be one of the first 5, sign up now.
Right.
2 out of the 5 said, I'm not waiting. I'll take 2 weeks now until you have your baby. Then I'll pause. Then I'll come back. And the other 3 said, great, I'll start after you have your baby.
Lovely. Amazing.
And so it was a business coach that told me how to do that.
It was amazing, right? Sometimes there's you need something from the outside. You can never And
wait a minute. And I owed her money for the business coaching. I'm like, I don't even have money to pay you. She goes, great. So your first 5 clients, you got to be motivated to charge them because you owe me money now. And I was like, oh, so
that's a good coach.
It was a good motivation.
One that pushes you. And I love that.
Really a good motivation. It made a big difference. And that's how I got started.
All right. So Get Real, Get Married.
That's my book.
That was your book. When did that come out?
2013.
Wow. Okay. So that's
it's been
10
a
years
decade.
Ago. I know it came down. I was in Philly, and I moved here 9.5 years ago.
Yeah.
So what is Get Real, Get Married? Why are people waiting to get married? Let's talk a little bit about this. Let's talk specifically, maybe more about. I'm sure it's this is crossover to all Western cultures probably. Why are people delaying, waiting later to get married?
Everybody has been bred to believe that they need independence and financial security to get started in their life. So the number one thing that people look for and that their parents tell them to go for, get an education, get a job, build yourself up, and then when you're ready, you'll go build a family. You'll figure that out later. So family comes later. but later sometimes means never.
Correct. Later often means never.
It's very difficult. And then when you want to find your family, the same way you're like, well, I found my job and poof, and if I didn't like it,
if you found your job, if you made your pronouncement, if you became independent, right?
But still, you can often do that much faster than you can find your family and your person. Because with a job, only you need to say yes, your boss needs to say yes to you, but it's a little bit more flex because they could just fire you in a year and they don't really care, or in a month. With a person, divorce is not like what everybody's going for. They're going for a lifetime relationship. So I've got to pick you, you've got to pick me, and it's all going to happen at the same time, and we all have to agree. Yay! Oh, by the way, now meet my family. Right. Maybe that'll work too.
Right. Okay, so people are saying, I got to get myself established first. How much of this is coming from people's parents, and how much is it coming from, let's say, them, their friends, or on their own?
It's a societal norm now.
So it's societal, but you're saying including a generation older.
Yeah.
And so how did this happen?
Probably, back to the Industrial Revolution and people going to work.
Yeah, but it wasn't like that in the 50s.
We went from like starving to, we went through our hippie chill.
I understand. It was an economic time. It was economical to get married and have children. You absolutely needed that at one point.
It also was a really strong value. You weren't valuable in society unless you were married. Now the opposite's true. If you're married, you're going to have sick kids and a sick spouse and time off from work. You're actually, you being single is much more valuable to the corporate world than you being married. You being married is a liability, not an asset. It used to be an asset.
To who? To the career, to the employer.
Yeah.
Right.
Think about it.
No, I understand. I see it. I prefer to work with people that, generally speaking,
are
married with children.
Oh, good for you.
Because I'll tell you why. Maybe it's the size of my company, that we're 20 people, is that I like to have relationships with the people that I work with, and it's easier to just have more in common, kind of understand where you're coming from. I think I prefer that. Of course, someone
who takes off more days? Your married people or single people?
Probably my single people, because they're younger, they travel.
Oh, okay.
And the married people, they'll save it for like the week in August or things like that. Generally speaking.
Okay.
And
so you're in a good position.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. We have so get real, get married. Where people are trying to get married, I want to talk more about this for a minute because I think this is a big issue I'm seeing. I'm meeting many people. I am not going to obviously hold back. I'm an NPC, obviously won't name names, but I'm meeting many people that it feels like they want to get exactly what you said. Oh, first I want to get a job. First I want to get my career.
Yep.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
Tell me if this statement is directionally correct or incorrect. That if you manage to get your career in order, and then you wait later, let's say 30 plus, to pursue marriage, often those people that the picking are less, right? Those that have their let's say they want to get their relationship together, their life together, find their life partner. People that prioritize that, right? Those often are going to pursue that first. And then those that put their career first before family, those are the people that, let's say, are there left. So you have someone else, you have a career and you just started looking for family, and someone else too.
Correct.
Right. And so what I think is that a lot of people, what they're looking for often isn't
at the life stage that
correct.
They're at. There's also second-time singles.
Wait, would you say that's directionally accurate?
Yes. And to add on to it, I think that singles who are in their 30s at whatever age, and there are some that got married in their 20s. Now they're divorced and looking again. So now you've got a first-time single in their 30s with a second-time single in their late 20s who aren't exactly a match because the first-time single is going, I don't know anything about divorce. I never even got married. I don't have that in common anymore. So it also makes the pool a little bit different. And also when you're younger, there's just, in general, more people around you doing similar things in the same, whether you're in a school environment or a work environment, there's just more like-minded people. And as you age up, people are like, well, where do I go to meet people? So everybody's going online because they don't have the networks naturally that they used to have when they were younger. There's a lot more social, emotional networks that are available under the age of 25, something like that. Once you age up, and even 23, 24, once you're really out of university and on to the next stage of your life, it's like, well, where do I go to meet people? Well, I don't know. My boss has got a friend and a neighbor.
Right, or the bar, or you're swiping.
Right, that's it.
That's pathetic. It's sad.
No, it's reality.
No, it's sad. It's sad.
It's a blessing that swiping is there, because if you don't have that, where else are you going to do it? Okay. And I've had dozens of couples.
Let's flip the script. If technology hasn't gotten to a place where one can easily find someone using swiping or whatever, would they maybe look for a lifetime partner earlier, knowing, I'm wondering, does that give people space to say, I have more time, there's so many fish in the sea? I'm just curious.
No, I think people just have a different priority.
Okay.
Right now, it's go to work, earn money, even like buy your house before you get married. Make sure you're financially stable. Guess what?
But that doesn't
Most
happen.
of us, like,
there's a recession economy. A lot of people thought they
95 or
were
more
financially
percent of
stable
us,
a year ago, and they're not right now.
but 95% of us, even when we are financially stable, aren't going to look at ourselves and think we're financially stable.
Right.
We're going to still think it's not enough.
That
It's kind of like
true.
somebody who's lost weight and they look in the mirror and they're like, oh, I'm still fat, even though they're really not. We have this previous vision of ourselves that we never let go of because we have a poor mindset. So we don't think of ourselves as having enough to support. And when you go through all the expenses, it doesn't always add up, and it's not going to make sense. I have 5 kids. Ask me if it makes sense. We made Aliyah 2 years ago with 5 kids and a dog. My husband closed down his business, and my business is running everything.
Right.
Okay. Right before the show launches, guess where we're holding?
Right.
Yeah, close to net zero. Right. Until the next wave of things come, because I made a huge investment to build everything up to get it to where it needed to be. It's very hard. You're never really going to have as much as you want unless you're in a very high bracket.
So before we move on, what advice would you give to, let's say, a mid-20-year-old that is saying, I want to get my career together and I want time for myself to travel, blah, 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 and then I'll go and I'll pursue the right person? What is your advice to them?
Yeah, very hard. On one hand, I would want to say to them, find your person now, travel with your person now. You'll build your career alongside of them.
Mm-hmm.
But for a lot of people, that's not going to work. So even though that's nice advice, it's not real advice for them. The real advice for them is travel quickly, get your job, get your life settled, and find your person before 30.
Amazing. Okay, lovely. So find them before 30. So you really got to get going.
I mean, yalla.
My wife, I was 24 and she just turned 21. We were married.
Right.
So I mean, I bet as when I was younger, I said I wouldn't get married young.
You did a good job.
Yeah, I'm
You
blessed.
picked a good one.
She picked me. Okay, so Gabriel get married. You're always like this. So when did your business start picking up before the whole Netflix thing?
Yeah, when I wrote the book, Get Real, Get Married, that was my first uptick in business because it was a book and it's like, well, who are you? Who's Aleeza? Why should I even listen to you? I don't know, read this book. If you like what I have to say, then you might like how I work and you might want to work with me. And then I got picked up by Aish.com, which puts out articles online and educates people. And that kept a steady inflow.
When you say got picked up, you were asked to do a guest post for free. Did they pay you?
No. So somebody in Israel, actually, can I name a name?
Yeah, sure.
Lisa Mechanic. She posted, she's like, do you want me to do some marketing for you? I have all these lists. I said, sure, write that I have this book and put it out there and let's see what comes of it. And somebody, the editor at Aish.com saw it and he said, oh, she wrote a book. Maybe she's got something to say on dating. Do you want to write an article for us? So I wrote an article and it was good. It was like, great. Do you want to consistently dating? Of course.
No, what about this? It was very generic.
Whatever. The top 3, there's all the internet savvy language for how to write an article. So I did it once and I was like, okay, wait, I got to get my head around how to write an article for online. It's different than writing a book. It's different than, writing to a client. So I got my head around how they like online articles written. And I started to consistently write articles for them starting in 2013. I think I have over 100 articles. I did a video and it just consistently reached out to all of their people. And so people knew my name. And then from that, people picked me up for speaking engagements. Hey, do you want to come to this city? We want you to speak. Do you want to come here? Oh, come to our conference. You can speak there. And once you have some form of credibility, and this was very good advice from a dear friend who said, write a book. It is the easiest way to gain credibility. Just self-publish it. Put it out there so that somebody knows what's in your brain. Otherwise, you have to explain to everybody every time and nobody gets it. Once they have what's going on in your head and they understand you, they know if they want your services, and then you can help them.
Right.
And then I started doing coaching with that. And that was how I built my business actually on coaching, because the matchmaking model, the Shadchan matchmaking model, which is the kind of religious matchmaking model, is based on what I would call a success fee, which means we do the matchmaking. I set you up, I set you up, I set you up. You get engaged, yay, you pay a success fee. You don't get engaged, I helped you for free for all that time. It's just my message to the world. So I couldn't pay my electricity on that. So I said, you know what? But I could help people get to the chuppah by being a coach. So can I teach you something? And
please, is that why we're here?
Can I teach everybody something? Okay. What's a matchmaker? A matchmaker has 3 jobs. But what are those 3 jobs? Everybody knows job number 1. What's job number 1 of a matchmaker?
Find single people want to get married
and make the
match.
Okay, introducer.
Right.
Introduce two people to each other. That's the name.
So
Introducer.
yeah, a connector.
Yeah, I call it introducer. Okay.
Well, the first touch, yeah. Okay.
Okay. So that's the introduction. Okay. If you make a match, great. You're an introducer. Does that get them to the chuppah?
No.
No. What do you need?
You need training and probably a little bit of work on yourself and how you can improve.
Mentor. You need a mentor, a coach. You need somebody to support you through the process. That's job number 2. What's job number 3?
Get you to the chuppah or their post chuppah.
Great. Closer. You ever gone to buy a car?
Yes.
Yes. Joe shows you the car. It's nice to take it for a drive. You're like, oh, love it. The color, the feel, the ride, right? He brings you back into the sales room. Joe slips out and Tom comes in. Hey, Tom, how you doing? Tom is the closer.
How do you know Joe and Tom?
Dude, man, you are buying that car. This is the last one on the lot. It's the last one in the city. It's the last one in the country. It's the last one in the world. It's the only one in the color that you want. You want it today, man. If not, I got 5 other people lined up. Are you buying that car? You're buying that car. He's the closer. He is there to sell you that car. So for us, the closer, either will sell you the car or you walk away. It's got to be your person or not. And we help a person to make a good decision. We're not pushy like the salesman to sell them the car. If it's the right person for them, we close the deal. If it's not, we help them walk away with confidence, clarity, and peace of mind.
So you really represent the individual, not the couple per se.
Correct.
Okay, I understand.
And I want them to marry the right person. So I don't really care if it's that person. I care that it's the right person. A matchmaker's job is 3 parts: introducer, mentor, closer. And of those 3 things in matchmaking, the success fee that one would get paid, that's actually split between those people. So if you're the introducer and I'm the mentor and closer, you get 1/3 of that fee and I get 2/3. If you do all 3 jobs, you get the whole fee. If however it's broken up, that's how you pay it out. And so being a coach, being a mentor is actually being a matchmaker, because that deal, that match would have never closed without your support. I have dozens of matchmakers that go, Aleeza, I'm an introducer. I'm not interested in closing. I send them to you. Mm-hmm. And you mentor them and you fix it, because I'm not getting on the phone with anybody. I'm just setting them up.
Got it.
But setting them up is, everybody thinks that that's the only job that a matchmaker has.
That's probably the hardest part. It's the easiest part, right? In a sense. It would seem like, because when you speak with a person who's got baggage,
right,
of themselves, they don't see their own flaws, they don't see where they need to improve. They think what they're, I mean, we can start referencing the show if you want, but like, you can see that clearly they don't know what's going on with their own life. They don't see where they're the problem, right? They don't see, there's a lot of projection naturally.
There's a lot of coaching and mentorship that needs to be done. And the introduction piece, it's not nothing. If you make a good match, right? It's like, that story of the guy, you have a broken radiator and you want to fix it, right? And the guy comes over and he goes, I know what the problem is. He tells you it's going to be $5,000, right? And he takes his hammer and he goes, whack! And boom, it starts working. You're like, dude, $5,000 for that? And he's like, no, $5,000 to know where to hit it.
Right, exactly. Right? It's like years of experience.
Years of experience. So same thing with every single step. An introducer, if they, get it right, they're not throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. They're really trying to make a good match. Sometimes it's spot on. Sometimes it's good enough and everybody's got to make it work. And sometimes it's a question like, here, it's your choice.
Right.
It's within a range of what could work for you. Do you want to pick them? It's up to you, but they make a good presentation and then a coach walks them through it.
Right.
So none of the jobs are easy. It's about time consuming. So also introducing, it could either be very quick. You think of an idea, boom, you send it. Or it could actually take a really long time because you know the person and you're filtering through hundreds of profiles to actually make that match. Any part of the job could be time consuming and difficult.
Yeah, oh my God, I can imagine. So when you meet these people and you're trying, I have no challenges. When you're trying to mentor these people, prepare them to be someone to get married, let's say, to get to the chuppah. What are, let's say, the common challenges, let's say, whether it's misconceptions or what they need to work on, both for men and women, when they come to you?
Mostly seeing who I really am and what's going to be a good match for me. So I know who I am, I know what I like, but my question is, does what you like you back?
Right. Sometimes I wonder, as you know, my wife is the opposite of me in a lot of ways. And sometimes like, understatement, totally. And I was like, I wonder if I married someone like me, And I was like, that would be terrible.
Correct. That would be a terrible, like nobody would raise the children.
Right. It would just be like.
It would have been a really big problem.
I could be intense sometimes, and whatever. I mean,
sometimes.
Like, sometimes, and that way you see.
Can sometimes not be intense.
Well, it depends when you see me, but yeah. So it could be like that. So like, you know, people think that like, and also like, I can't imagine Dara like her marrying someone else like her. I couldn't imagine that also not working. Also, it's just fascinating. So I think about that time to time. But why do we think we want someone like us? Is it
No, it's not bad.
I understand it's human nature.
There's enough differences between people. You stick two people together, there's enough that's going to be different. So we need to find enough in common. So what
are the most important things like
to have in common?
Yeah. So what are like when someone's looking for a partner, what should they be looking for, and what and on the flip side, what might people think they're looking for that might trip you up? You should not prioritize that at all.
So what you should look for are qualities, things like what I value and what I want to achieve and do in my life, goals, you know, short-term, long-term, and personality. So just for example, you guys have a different personality, you and your wife, but in terms of goals and values and family and how you want to live your life, when you met, there was enough in common that like, it's like, oh, it makes sense. And you came from a similar place. You understood each other's upbringing. Like there was a lot of history there that made sense to help you build a future. Mm-hmm. So having things in common is really important. I would also say people have a lot of fears. And if you rub me the wrong way and trigger my fears, we're going to have a huge problem. Right. But I can still keep my fears and marry somebody that doesn't trigger me to a high degree.
Right.
Okay. So you're going to, like with my husband, we're going to trigger each other, but it's not off the charts, obnoxious that I don't want to live with that every day. It's just a normal level of friction in a relationship.
And isn't friction necessary?
Friction is necessary, and also fears are necessary. You're never going to get rid of all your fears. If you have stuff that you need to work through and you need a therapist, yes, get one, but you're always going to carry that baggage with you. So try to find somebody that's not super triggering. And then we're also talking about bothers. Everybody's got stuff that bothers us. So whether it's they have an annoying habit, or like they click their teeth or wink their eye or do something weird, whatever it is, it's going to bother us. But again, does it trigger us to a very high degree, or is it just like, it's annoying, but I can live with it? Like the paint on the wall that gets scratched, that the first day it happens, you're really irritated. And the first month this happens, you're like, I have to paint this. And 2 months later, you don't even know. It's like, it doesn't even exist to you anymore.
Right.
That kind of thing.
That's interesting.
So, right.
No, it makes sense. It's just a weird comparison. Amazing. Okay, so once we get to, let's get to the Netflix thing. How do they find you? Because we're already halfway.
Matchmaker, make me a match. So a matchmaker that I trained and I worked with was sought out by casting. They sought out dozens and dozens of people. And she had a business. She's called the Seattle Shadchan. Her name's Lori Young. And they said, hey, you're a matchmaker. Do you want to come be on the show? It's this thing. Come interview with us. And she was like, nah, no, thank you. Totally not interested. Like, no, I'm good. I'm happy. I like my life. I like what I'm doing. She goes, but I work with Aleeza. We've been doing matchmaker training webinars. We've been doing single speed dating. We've been doing singles webinars. She's good on camera. I ask her anything. She always has an answer. You're going to like her. She's good on the spot. Here's her number. Call her. And then she calls me and she goes, casting's calling you for some sort of a show. I don't want it, but I told them you're great. And literally they called me. We started doing interviews. And it took a little while. Like they do an interview and then nothing. 3 weeks later, they call you back and they're like, can we have another interview? I'm like, was the first one bad and you need another one? Or was the first one good and you need another one?
They started, they did 30 and then now, that's an 8.
Right. And then so then they kept going and then another couple weeks.
Do you know this now in hindsight? Did you find out everything?
I kept kind of asking them. By the third interview, I was like, it's a good sign that you're calling me back.
I think as a matchmaker, you would know if you.
It's not like you have a bad tape. Like you're happy that you're calling me back, and she's like, yeah. And then I started to play with them a little. I was like, look, I professionally, I'm Orthodox. I wear a wig. This is a wig. I sometimes wear a head wrap. I was like, hold on, and I go off camera, and I come back on, and I put my headscarf back on,
right.
And I was like, does this work better for you? And they're like, oh, that's great too. And I was like, okay, whatever. Let me show you all sides of me. Sometimes I wear this and sometimes I wear that. When I work with clients that are secular, I wear a wig. I want to look as normal as possible so that there's nothing that puts a barrier between me and my client. when I'm at home, when I'm comfortable, when I'm with somebody that doesn't care or that's used to it, I would put my headscarf on. It's comfortable, it's easy, but it's also like annoying because you have to match it to every outfit. And I'm low maintenance when it comes to clothes. Hair matches everything.
Right.
So whatever, we started to do the interviews. And by the end, they said to me, okay, we've got good news and other news. The good news is we want you. The other news is we actually didn't get the show greenlit. Like, we only got enough money to go do casting and find you, but now we have to get approval for the show. We have to do a budget. It's a whole nother process.
How long was that?
That was January of 2021.
Was this the hardest secret you to keep?
Oh my gosh. I had to keep this secret until March of 2023 when they just announced me going, yay, she's the matchmaker. And I was like, oh, thank God. Thank God. Because I signed a contract that says like $1 million fine every instance that you share. Yeah. Since I started interviewing in summer of 2020 after Indian Matchmaking came out. Right. And then you just hold it in and you hold it in and you wait and you wait.
It's kind of good that they like didn't communicate you with like weeks in advance. You're just not thinking of it, kind of, and it comes up a little bit.
The good thing was that we made Aliyah in March of 2021. So January of 2021, they're like, yay, we picked you, but it doesn't mean anything because we don't have a show yet.
Right.
March of 2021, we make Aliyah 2 months later, and we get out of quarantine.
Where'd you make Aliyah to? Pardes Chana.
Of course. So we come to Pardes Chana, and well, before Pardes Chana, we're in Jerusalem, and we go out to dinner, and then we go to the hotel, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I finished my prayers, my davening, and I'm like, my phone's buzzing, and I'm like, oh no, it's 6:45. I had a meeting at 6:30. I'm busy talking to God, and I'm supposed to be talking to the producers.
So funny.
Right? And I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'm at the hotel, the holiest place in the world. The hotel, not all of them were Jewish. I was like, Western Mall, the Wailing Mall. I don't know what you guys call it.
You're on speaker.
You're on speaker, but the holy, look, it's the holiest place in the whole world. And I'm like, we're so sorry to disturb your blessings and prayers, but listen, this is probably the best place to tell you we're sending you a contract and we're going to let you go now. Go back to your prayers. And I'm like,
now you're going to hard bye.
My dog, my husband, my kids, and a show. It was amazing. And I was looking for like the God stamp of approval. I didn't want to, you don't know what can happen with these shows. You sign a contract and the contract says, yeah, we can put your head on your foot and make you a talking frog. That's also okay. You could be anything. And I really wanted to know that God was going to be on my side in making sure that this was going to get done right.
All right, we're going to read some comments. If anyone has any comments related to Netflix, we'll pick up. We're going to ask her about Netflix. We'll start on LinkedIn and we'll take to Twitter. Okay, see, look at this. Look at this. For my team, she's waiting for an event like this. Okay, screw it. Let's go in order. Okay, I changed my mind. Ask any question. Season 2, is it going to happen?
Okay, basically it goes like this. There's nowhere to vote. The only place to vote is to watch all 8 episodes and to have like, I don't know, millions of people watch all 8 episodes. If y'all do that, then we
have about 500,000 watching right now.
500,000?
No.
I think we need like 30 million. I don't know. 40 million.
We don't have 500,000 watching live. Guys, watch all 8 episodes. And it's also great.
They want to know the completion rate. They want to know you started it and you finished it. You liked it. If you don't like it, you just watch an episode or 2. They're like, cool, but we're not going to make another show. So it's
play,
up to you.
Keep it on play and just shoot that in the background. Lovely. Okay. Okay. Woo. All right. Hill Folds says hi. All right. People love the show. Love the meter. All right. A lot of love and support.
By the way, you know what? You keep reading for a question. I'm just going to tell you, there has been an incredible amount of love and support for this show. And it's been an unbelievable blessing because Jews in the media have not, and especially Orthodox Jews and Orthodox female Jews have not been portrayed the best in media. And this is probably one of the first, if not the first times where there's a positive, upbeat, happy, beautiful show that represents all different kinds of Jews from all different backgrounds, secular all the way through religious, through every different kind of Jew. And you're like, wow, not every different kind of Jew. We'll do that, God willing, on a season 2. Say amen. You are a fast learner. But we see so many different things, and that's not normal.
Right.
It's not normal to really feel represented in a very broad way.
Right.
It's incredible. It's incredible. So the love that I've done, I can't even tell you how many interviews I've done, dozens and dozens of interviews. And we've had even Rolling Stone say, listen, we thought it was going to be a Shonda, but really it's a smart and sweet show. That they said that? Like, I didn't even think I was going to write something good.
Right. You know why? Everything ends with Shaman because they associate everything with Jews and shamans because they're anti-Semites. Rolling Stones are not for that.
Well, but they did. They did a great job.
Right.
But somehow we broke through a barrier that was there. The barrier was, we're never going to say anything great about the Jewish people.
Right.
And people are saying incredible.
Right.
Like, Google the show and look what's coming up. It is outstanding.
Yeah, no, it is amazing.
Majority across. I mean, there's always
people on Twitter messaging me
and negative, but there's
that aren't Jewish. Someone's an autograph. So I'm not doing autograph.
Yeah, you can have an autograph.
She's out in San Francisco. So.
Sure, you can send us.
We'll get your autograph. Maybe you can autograph some books. That'd be cool. You can send it out. Okay, what's the best way for someone who's in a new city and doesn't know many people there to build a social circle? Jerusalem. By the way, you can ask for yourselves, your friends. We'll answer all questions. How would if someone wants to move to a city?
Go do something. Activities. Go find out whatever you're interested in. Do. Even if it's if you're a woman and it's all women, or a man and it's all men, it doesn't matter because you're networking and we don't know who's going to know your person.
Right.
Find like-minded.
That's like for business too.
Same thing. Find like-minded people.
You find that's what I say. You find people. I find people just that I like to network with that, let's say, are ambitious like you and things like that, and we have a common denominator, and then actually some other business will connect itself in some other way. But I got that advice when I was doing on your courses, 18, 19, and we had like the end of the year, the recap with my madrich, and he said, when you go to university next year, the advice he gave me, he said, is I should join a intramural or some social thing. I ended up going to a fraternity, which was great.
And it makes you happy if you like doing those things.
Of course.
If not, join a book club.
Right.
Pick your thing.
Well, Dennis Prager said the best place to meet someone is at the bookstore. that just says more about that.
I think it works better for men than women.
Yeah, probably. That's probably true. Touche. All right, so go doing a circle, sir. Okay. All right, we got some started stealing. All right, question. Do you feel a difference doing your job while being filmed versus without cameras around? Good question.
Okay, so interesting. I think Zoom and the pandemic trained me to be in front of a camera. So during the pandemic, I literally took my phone and I put it on a tripod and I sat like this and I looked at myself and I watched myself in a camera. So I would see what was happening and I would know I had this much of a frame. My arms could go this wide and I was constantly in front of a camera and it became very normal. So they put a mic on me, whatever, and I walked in the door. Hi, how are you? And at first you see the camera there, but it actually was just me. You know me, so you saw some of the show.
Yeah. Yes. I just want to hear where you're getting at to answer our question.
But
I have not been on a camera set.
For me, I don't know. I was very comfortable in front of the camera from day one, from minute one. It didn't bother me at all. Other people, as soon as they came on, like it took them time. They got warmed up, and then after the first 10 minutes, half an hour, it was as if things didn't exist. Even if things happened.
You didn't see, basically, you didn't see the camera.
You don't see them.
Kind of like right now we're talking and I forget we're on camera.
Correct, exactly.
It's like that.
It just disappears.
Even though, how many cameras were on you guys?
2 cameras.
Two
cameras. But there's like 15 people. So you got audio,
the lighting, the
cameras, the light, everything. And then sometimes the batteries go dead, not dead, but they have to be replaced midway through. So we're just taking a pause and you're pausing what's going on.
How do you pause an important conversation? And then just resume.
Yeah, that's it.
The editing was terrific.
Yes.
But it was terrific.
The editing team was outstanding. And the filming team was outstanding. You have to have both of those things side. They're outstanding.
Right.
And you can't get good filming and good editing without having incredible production crew asking the right questions, or they do the one-on-ones where they ask you the question or they ask a single question after something's happening. You have to ask the right questions to get the right content that you'll even be able to edit.
What was the budget to produce this thing?
I don't know the budget, but they got one. I know that it's low budget compared to many other things that they do because it's reality TV.
Right.
So I will tell you this, none of the participants in our show are paid to be on it because we're not looking for anybody who wants fame and fortune. We're looking for people who want love. So we're actually just doing it for that sake. Like if you start paying people, you get people who want it for different reasons.
All right, so a little tangent on what you said, and then since you had experience, how do we get more positive images of Jews, especially women in the media?
Just do what I did.
Are you sounding like Aleeza Ben Shalom?
No, you have to be positive yourself. You have to, so you catch more flies with honey than vinegar. I think that the way that I speak to people and how I conducted myself, the biggest criticism that I get online, and if you read all the criticisms, she doesn't stick it to them. She doesn't, throw it in their face. She's not rude about it. She doesn't say, you can't have that, you're too picky. She's friendly, and she diverts them, and she laughs, and she breaks them down, and she asks questions, and she'll try to give them what they want, and she'll try to redirect them, but she's not like in your face rude about it.
Because when they're watching TV.
Because that's how I really am. Look at everybody
right.
else. Everybody else is not really like that. You see what's going on in the world. That's really who I am and how I am. And I think that I get the same or even better results instead of sticking it. I get them to buy into me. Let me try
more bees of honey.
I tried your way. Let me try your way. Oh, it didn't work. Are you willing to open up and try my way? No? Okay, we'll keep going your way.
Right.
Oh, no, I don't have anything for you. Okay, I'll come back to you later. Right. I'll just
also, you're on camera on Netflix, so you better do what I say.
No, people do. And people are real.
Wait, let's talk
real.
about that before I get this question, because I think this is great. My wife says this a lot. But people are really they're really themselves, right? Yeah. Because you see some quirks and been like, he knows he's on TV and he just said that. I was like, oh my God, this is real.
Everybody was like, yeah,
what's his name?
That was me.
Where the guy in LA was his mom.
Yeah,
the way he just kind of owned it. Just
that's it. That's who he is.
To his credit, by the way.
No,
but it was like
they think it's a beautiful production, and it is.
Right.
And that's really who he is. Everybody is who they are.
Right.
Unapologetically so, and just very real.
Okay, great. To find true love, do you agree with this? Love yourself first 100%. Convinced to love you if you don't love yourself. So I wouldn't say 100%.
Right, so 100%.
I don't believe in 100%. But I do believe that people don't love themselves enough.
Correct, I agree with that. And I have heard people say, no, you don't need to love yourself. Somebody else can love you. And I said, I don't 100% agree with it, because if you don't buy into you.
There's an energy.
No, but you don't buy into you. I have to buy into you.
Right.
If you're going to go into a job interview, I'm
right,
okay.
Exactly.
I'm maybe not the best in the market. I mean, there's other people that are better out there. You want to hire me? I just sold you somebody else.
Right.
So I do believe that we have to love and believe in ourselves. I also think that when we practice loving ourselves, we know how to better love somebody else.
Right.
If I don't practice loving me, I'm probably not going to be very good at loving you either.
Right.
So it doesn't make for a great partner.
Awesome. Terrific. Let's go else here. All right, I got to see if anything on Twitter after. Do we experience, this is fun. Differences in Israeli American singles' attitudes towards matchmakers, and also in general, if you can just answer, what would you say some stereotypes you see, right? You're from Philly whole life, here 2 years.
Yep.
What differences do you see?
Okay. In general about matchmakers, the old stereotype is that everybody's a yenta. Okay. Now, we're reclaiming the word yenta because I have a podcast with 2 women from Philadelphia, and we call ourselves the yentas. Danielle Selber.
Oh, lovely. I saw that on Instagram.
Yeah. So the 3 of us call ourselves the yentas, and we have a podcast, and we take singles questions, we answer them, and we're not there to gossip. We're there to support and guide people. So we're reclaiming the name yentas. So that's the biggest misconception about matchmakers in general. In Israel versus America, so in Israel, everybody thinks of a matchmaker as a shadchan, and if you're religious, you use them, and if you're secular, you don't.
Right.
Who made up that rule?
Well, why do you think that is?
Think about it. Ask your secular.
I know. I'm asking you, or I'm interviewing you. I want to hear you.
So it's in the religious world, and it's extremely common, and in the secular world, it's not really here.
Do you think they try to intentionally do the secular world? The religious world does that, so it's not, let's say, modern. So they intentionally don't, almost as a counter.
No, whereas the matchmakers were all in the Orthodox world, and people were more in the Orthodox observant world.
So why aren't secular people do it? Is it because they prioritize because there's more shadchanim for their career than that?
Where's the secular matchmaker in Israel? We are it.
Why?
We are it. I Shayna, who's on my team, Shayna TV.
Okay,
so
your team.
We're like the secular matchmakers in Israel.
We should do a meetup probably Q1 next year of maybe singles and tech in Tel Aviv.
Yeah.
I think that'd be fun. That'd be cool.
There's not really the infrastructure for it, and it was never a thing. But we were just on Channel 13 last night, and we were in Yediot Achronot, and a whole thing on matchmaking that is not just for religious people. Everybody's using it. In America, it became super popular because there were matchmaking shows that started to come out, and secular matchmakers.
Interesting.
And it became like, oh, that's kind of normal. So the Jewish world was like, oh, wait, it's not just for religious people?
Wow.
Oh, cool, I could do that too.
That's so fascinating.
So
it actually had a positive impact.
Modernized.
There's a kind of a reality show that can actually have a positive impact.
It did. Had a hugely positive impact, and it modernized it, going, just like I get a trainer if I want to get fit, I get a matchmaker if I want to get married. Works.
Right, exactly.
And that's all it is. But actually, Israel, this is the first time we're really introducing this concept to the secular culture in Israel because it's like religious only. It doesn't.
Right.
It hasn't been an appeal to the secular crowd, but there hasn't been the right matchmaker yet.
Right. Okay.
But
Question.
now there is.
One, I love to people watch. This isn't a secret.
Me too.
One of my favorite things. Do you ever like
go to a hotel lobby?
And watch live? I love it because I stayed at a hotel last week.
Okay, we have to go people watch.
And I was supposed to like. I was like, all right. I checked out. I was like, I'll sit down for a bit. I got a drink. And I was going to order again. And I was like, there's like two couples. And I was like, I was just so fascinated. I'm curious. I was like, I wonder the story.
Okay.
I was just someone next to you.
No.
Make up the story.
Oh, I do the story. I do the dialogue.
I love
like,
it. It's so funny.
Okay, that couple over there. This is like their second date. They're probably
now. How
married.
can you
This
tell?
is
Like you going to ask?
amazing. I mean, I literally could walk right in and be like,
do you think?
Yeah, I nail it every time.
Do you really?
Not every time,
Right.
but like I people watch, I people read. I also do it in bars. I had a concept for a show where there would be couples, dating and whatever, and I would they would have mics on them, but I wouldn't know what they're saying, but I would watch them from afar, and I would kind of like narrate whether I thought that this was going to be a match that worked or wouldn't work.
Right.
It's kind of like the matchmaker's guess.
Right.
And yeah, that'll come later.
That'd be hilarious.
Right? Like you see two couples at a bar, and I'm like, yep, that's a good one.
And that's so fascinating.
This one, it's going to be
you actually
for 5 minutes.
You have like a real experience in people watching.
I love it.
All right. All right. I didn't read this whole question, but the first comment's nice. Your show is great. Emphasizes the power of being authentic and open, meeting new people. I love your comments about speaking in front of a camera. What are your criteria for accepting clients? Let's talk about clients at the end.
Okay.
I'd be interested. But any advice? So I try to do like video shorts and things. I have this YouTube channel which will go on there called Israel Unfiltered, where I interview people related to Israel and things I love, personalities and things like that. And I was trying to like practice just talking to the camera without speaking to someone.
Yeah.
It was terrible. I uploaded. It was embarrassing to listen to.
Oh,
So
I do that so well.
I'm terrific with conversation. I need something to bounce off of. But
you can't bounce off yourself. I'm highly amused by me.
Dude, I'm highly amused by me too. That's the problem because I'm in selfie mode and I'm like, look at my eyebrow.
Okay, I'll teach you how to do it.
Lovely.
I'm
maybe
really good at this.
Maybe that's your second career is preparing people.
Wait, do you know Cameo? Do you know what Cameo is?
No.
Cameo is this. It's an app, but it's a platform where people who want to have a message from a famous person, they send them a message, and they say, hey, can you send me a message about something? And they pay for whatever, and you send them a video message, and I could go for 2 minutes, and I'm happy birthday, and record and I'm schmoozing.
Yeah, but it's the same message. It's different. It's just like if someone were to, I don't know. Yeah, but that's kind of like I can give my quote unquote easy pitch or a blessing or like that. I don't know. Yeah, but I talk about more things, just giving my thoughts and then I chew out my ideas.
Okay, so I like it better by myself because there's nobody distracting me, and I can just talk about what I want to talk about and get to where I want to go.
Amazing.
It makes me. I'm happier.
That's true. I get to where I want to go, obviously better on my own. But what's kind of fun is that the dance we go somewhere we don't know where we're going. Like a lot of these questions.
I do that with myself too.
What?
I don't always know where I'm going.
Amazing. Okay, next question in here. And then I guess we kind of made our way into the Netflix. Okay. This is fun. How do people in their 50s and 60s find a match without the framework they had in their 20s? Mm-hmm. Most people say you don't want a single friend. He's not for you. There's a reason he's single. It depends on the thing about divorced people or the opposite. Would you say divorce, before you get to this, would you say people would say in their early 30s, people might be more attracted to people that are divorced and have never been married?
In their 30s?
Yeah, 40s probably more.
No, in their 40s.
When does that switch? When does that? Because
50s.
50s definitely. You want someone that's been through it because if not, there's.
Well, are you not?
I'm speaking on general
terms.
Everything's
are you not
general.
Serious about marriage? You didn't find your person. Why didn't you find? Not just why didn't you find your person, but why aren't you choosing anybody by now? What have you been doing? And by 50, it's I'm starting to feel uncomfortable. Unless obviously some people have said, listen, I've been in a long-term relationship. It didn't work out. I thought it was leading to marriage and it didn't, but I was in it for 5 years, 7 years. It's basically like a marriage, but just not consummated as a marriage. Mm-hmm. But people start to become curious about that. Mm-hmm. And for sure over 50s and the 60s, if you haven't been married, it's I don't know if you have the skills to be married because if you've been living on your own for that period of time, it's very difficult at that point to live with somebody else, which is why even in their 20s, I'm don't live on your own, live with a roommate. Right. By your 30s, don't live on your own.
When you say roommate, should they live in the same room or flat?
No, flatmate. flatmate, share a bathroom or something. Like,
Right.
you have to be irritated by the space that somebody else is in. You have to share something. If you're not irritated by the space, you're living too solo, and integrating a partner is going to be hard.
It's isolation in a sense, which is not healthy, right?
It's unhealthy, and if you're going to breed yourself to be building a family and living with other people, start living with other people.
Right.
Because there's always stuff going on.
What do you think about people that live together before they get married?
I personally think that it is unnecessary, but I think that some people want and feel that they need to do it, but I don't think that they need to do it. And I think it can cause undue relationship stress and probably more breakups.
Yeah, so there's studies that people that live together before they got married have a significantly higher divorce rate.
And it drags it out.
Because they would have got, if they didn't live, this is recent, I mean, things like a few years ago.
Yeah.
That, this was at, going back and interviewing, is that the assumption, the hypothesis based on the study, the reason why people that had higher divorce rates that lived together before they got married, because many of them, if they didn't live together, they would have separated. But it was a hard part of separation that they try to overcome something that they shouldn't have. That should have been, no, you should split up.
Right.
That if they didn't live together, they would have split up.
Right.
But since they were like, we're going to overcome this,
they
got married.
Right,
exactly. And just someone taking someone out.
The other thing is, people say, but I won't know. I'll have to do that, and then I'll have clarity. No, my answer is you're wrong. Everybody, religious, secular, old, young, I don't care the age, stage, background, nothing. Doesn't matter. Country that you're from, none of that matters. If you're dating somebody for 6 months, in person, not long distance, if you're dating somebody for 6 months, you can and should know if this is your person. And if you don't know how to figure that out, I do. It's called soulmate clarity. I have a whole system for it, and it's for real. And you don't need longer than that. If you're dating long distance, it takes longer.
Got it. So then why do people do it? Is it how much of it do you think society's like, hey, that's weird, you're getting married and live together, right? Or how much is it like? How much is like fear and anxiety? I don't really know this person. Now it's like,
what's the thing about
because I have a friend who lives with his girlfriend.
If you can get the milk without buying the cow, it's the whole thing.
Yeah, trying to socks, we trying to shoes.
Whatever.
Whatever. Everyone has different analogies. So wait, what was I going to say? A friend of mine was expert. I'm sorry. Sure, nothing.
But there's fear, there's anxiety, there's stress. People come from divorced homes. They don't want to make a mistake. If they themselves were divorced or widowed, or you want to try it out or something, there's a lot of reasons, and I understand why people would want to do it. But the research and the studies and the risk benefit is not there to prove it to be
I had a friend, he got married after living with his girlfriend for 2 years. And I said, so what changed? Nothing.
Correct.
Which is like, they got married. And
correct.
My wife and I, we lived together before.
Correct.
Yeah, right. It was totally different. It was cool. It's not like, oh, you went, like, it's the same shit. In a sense, right? They were engaged, like, 9 months, a year, whatever. And then, so, yeah. I mean, I know that's that's becoming, unfortunately, more people are saying to live together before they get married. At least for your first marriage, in my opinion, but you're the expert here. This must be a popular, common question. What is the maximum age range your friend showed?
I don't have one.
You don't have one? Okay.
I don't have one, but a lot of people do. A rabbi that I work with, he's like, max is 10 years, and he's even not happy about that. My husband and I are 10 and a half years apart.
Right.
I've seen marriages 15 years, I've seen 20, I've seen 25, and women or men, whatever, that are with the 25-year, well, let's say the woman that's younger by 25 years, I was like, really? Like, she's like, you're going to take my soulmate away? Like, nobody has a right to do that. What do you care? It's not your problem. Right. This is what I chose. This is what I want. That's my person. I can't help it that he happened to be that much older. It's not what I was looking for, but it happened. And that's what it is. And they never would give up the person that they found. So it's much more unlikely to be a much larger age gap. Most people stay within a few years, whether it's a few years younger, 5 to 7 years older. Some people are willing to go up to 10 years older. Some people are willing to go more. And I've seen very happy.
Are there things to look for if there's a bigger gap? So let's say you and your husband, Gershon, great guy, love him, he's a good friend. You guys have a 10-year gap. Is there something?
We don't have the same music preference at all.
Right. So
different generations.
So I was going to wonder,
I
like,
hate his
are there certain?
But I would have hated it anyway.
Actually, it was interesting. Darren and I, we were saying this morning after we worked out together, like when we got married, we had zero overlap in music.
Right.
Now it's like it's a lot.
Oh.
A lot of overlap.
Yeah, we haven't done that. No, we don't have any overlap.
Or maybe I'll introduce you to some new music. We'll see. But do you think that maybe like what should you like look out for? What are the main obstacles? Things like, a lot of people think I don't know, like, is there anything that one should keep in mind or approach differently if someone has a different age gap? I mean, Macron, the Prime Minister of France, I mean, he married his teacher, like 25 years older than him, right?
Right.
That's really abnormal, especially a woman being older, and especially a man.
To that degree.
Yes, yes. And especially a man of his status. But what is there any advice or anything people should know or look for or to consider things if they're going to, let's say, date someone 10, 15 years plus?
If you're uncomfortable with it, don't do it. Not now. Okay. If you're really uncomfortable, I am never ever about twisting arms. It doesn't work because it just people like it like makes their skin crawl.
Right.
So if they're uncomfortable, don't do it. And if they have no issue with it, don't hold them back from a match that might be a decent match. For me, whatever there's always differences, whether you're the same age or a different age or the same generation or the same community, there's just always similarities and differences. It's so hard to find your person. Why are we putting another barrier in front of it just because somebody said that it should be that way? There's generic reasons why it would be better to date within your age range.
Right.
For me, when I was in my 20s, I wasn't really interested in guys in their 20s. They weren't really serious. Nobody was settling down. It wasn't really a smart age and stage to date at, but I also didn't click. Had I clicked with somebody and he happened to have been my age, I probably would have married him.
Right.
So but I did always tend to date older than me.
Okay, that's interesting. Was there's a personality thing to that?
Maturity thing. Like I was always told, you're wise beyond your years. You're an old soul. All of those things are things that people said about me.
You're wise beyond your years. I wouldn't put you as an old soul. Would you?
That's kind of the same.
Oh, I don't know. The old soul, I think, kind of like
not an old person, just an old.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay.
You're a soul with wisdom. You know, like an old soul.
Yeah, that's why I said you're wise. I wouldn't say you're an old soul. I mean, your energy illuminates.
Yeah. No, it's just one of those phrases. I always hung out with older people. I'm the oldest in my family, so I hung out with my parents and all of their friends, and I'd always pay attention and listen to adult conversations. So I had friends my own age, and I hung out with friends my own age, but they were mostly talking about things that really didn't interest me, that just weren't very important, so to speak. Like I was interested in the world. I was kind of raised as an adult, even as a child.
I was raised an adult even as a child.
Do you know what I mean? Like I was attracted to adult conversation as opposed to, jabbering about nonsense.
Right.
If that makes sense.
That does make sense. Okay, let's.
Not that I'm not playful and not that I'm not fun, but I was raised with a lot of maturity and just clicked.
If anyone has any more questions, feel free to drop them. If there's a lot of comments here supporting you, I'm not going to pull them up.
Thank you for all the support, even though he's not pulling them up.
No, I'm not. I mean, it's just a lot of people are like, I love you, I'm here, whatever. Across platforms. Okay. So how does one? So you got the Netflix show, you started recording, and then you're just flying around. First off, let's talk about marriage and career, because and kids
and
Aliyah. So and then ideally, what you can share that the rest of us can learn, because you went through during lockdowns and the whole headaches. You made Aliyah. You didn't have a parnasa, right? You were already just moved to Israel. You were at the hotel when they called you that they had not.
I mean, I had my own business, but it's not moving and grooving like this is
exactly
moving and grooving.
Right. Thank God. Right. You have 5 kids. None of you speak Hebrew.
Yep. I speak a little now.
You moved to Pardes Khan of all places, and so we're coming here, and then you had to travel for work. Now you're flying back crazy to America, right? You were already working in Australia, which is plus 14 to 16 hours.
Yeah.
And then how do you do all of this
and balance it
and be a wife and be a mother, and you're also in the community here in Pardes Khan, just like you were back in Philly?
Thank you.
How? Explain.
Okay, so first of all, my husband had a business in America and he closed up shop. And when we moved, I said, listen, I want to make a go of my business. You can't carry your business with you. So how about if you go on a sabbatical for a year and I'll give my business a go. And he's like, I don't have to work. And I was like, yeah, but you have to be the mom.
Right.
That is full-time.
You have to be the stay-at-home parent.
Yeah, full-time, because we don't really believe in other people full-time raising our children. We wanted to do that.
Right.
So it wasn't like we wanted 2 full-time people and having, a nanny or a babysitter at the house all the time.
Right.
So he said, you know what, this will be great. I'll get time to spend with my boys we have a daughter also, but the 2 big kids were in a boarding school and the 3 little guys are home. And he said, I'll get a chance to actually spend much more time with my kids. I said, yeah, they're going to grow up real fast. And, you already miss them. So he said, okay, I'll do that. I said, great. So we had 1 full-time parent at home. For a year, I made a go of my own business, just being in Israel before the whole show started with filming. My Aliyah-versary, my 1-year anniversary, I spent in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. It was also my 45th birthday.
Wait, it was called Jackson Hole?
Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
It's a terrible name.
That's what it's called.
Shithole, Wyoming.
Jackson Hole, Wyoming. Gorgeous. Of all the cities I went to, the most fantastic, gorgeous city. I went dog sledding on my birthday.
That's awesome.
I went to the hot springs and we filmed there, and it was unbelievable. It was fantastic. But that's where I spent my 1-year anniversary. I wasn't even in Israel. And I was out of the country for 4 weeks.
Right.
And I came back and I called production and I was like, listen, no more than 3 weeks. Really, like, 2 Shabbases in 3 weeks, but like I can't be away that long. It was overkill for me. Then they came to Israel and they filmed in Israel. Then a couple weeks later, we went to America for 3 weeks. Then they came back to Israel.
Wait.
This is let me give you the timeline. February of 2022 to August of 2022 for 7 months. We filmed America, Israel, America, Israel, America. So 5 different shootings, 3 in America and 2 in Israel. And every 3 weeks or so, we switched countries for 7 months. So it was back-to-back filming, and there was a lot going on. I had a lot of downtime in between, but I didn't always know my schedule. So I can't book clients if I don't know which days I'm filming. So I would be in a city and I'd be able to work. I could do any back-end work in my business, but I had to get really flexible, and I had to have my clients get really flexible with scheduling and working with them. But the benefit was I ended up in LA. I met one of my clients in LA. Then I set her up with somebody, and it works, and they're still dating 8 months later. And I met her in person, something I would have never done on my own. Normally we just do a video call.
Right.
So there were certain perks and benefits of where I landed. I got to see my family in Philadelphia, which I figured, you're going to Israel. What are you going to see them once a year? I got to see them 3 times last year. 3 times after making Aliyah. My sister's like, wow, I get to see you more now than when you were in Philly. Like, you spent all Shabbos with us. Like, amazing. Right. So there were certain perks and benefits, but yeah, I stepped out of the family life and have to do Zoom with the kids and my husband. LA, by the way, is so much easier than the East Coast or anywhere. I wake up in the morning, it's their night. I can call. I go to bed at night, it's their morning before school. It was
for you, right?
Perfect time zone. East Coast was like a little bit harder to time. It just didn't line up as well. It's very hard for me to get on the phone. So it was a challenge, but the kids kind of got used to it. My husband said sometimes doing a 1-parent household is easier than 2 parents because you're not, double ask me. I ask you, you ask me. No. It's just my rules. That's it. Yeah. Everybody lines up and does what needs to be done. So that got a little bit easier. And after doing it 3 times, I went away this year, January of 2023. And it was like, okay, we did 1 Shabbos and 2 full weeks away, and it was okay. And I just now came back from 1 Shabbos and 2 full weeks away in May. So I did January and May 2 trips, and I have another trip in 2 weeks from now in June. And then the rest of this year is a little bit insane. I'm probably going to have one in August and September and November, and then I don't know about December. Maybe
okay, so but your family, so you go and then you come back, you're like, oh, I'm home. No, and then you're like, I haven't seen my husband, I haven't seen my kids. I'm jet lagged.
In Hebrew.
Exactly. What are
you doing there? What are you doing in America? Why does a matchmaker need to work in America? I really don't get it, Aleeza. And I'm like, I know, I'm really sorry. I'm working on a really
smuggling
big project. I'm doing something really big and important. And they're like, they really, they need you here. They really, I was like, I know, and I'm really sorry. And they're like, and your husband doesn't speak Hebrew. And I was like, I know. I made a parent group and a teacher group with my husband, myself, our best friend who speaks some Hebrew and is a teacher, and the teachers. Wow. And we threw them all together. So we brought in a huge support network of friends and everybody, and people in the community knew I was flying out, and everybody backed my husband up in whatever way they could. We set up the best network and system, but I have to say kudos to my husband for A, saying, go and do this. This is really important. And B, saying, I got it. Don't worry about it. Like, it's fine.
Did you worry that?
It's going to be fine.
Or were you too preoccupied? Is it possible?
The first time I traveled, it was the first time I had ever traveled in 20 years and had a significant amount of time alone, like in my own Airbnb or in my own hotel room by myself for hours at a time. It was spectacular. 20 years, nothing. No music. I don't listen to music. I don't hear anybody talk. Nothing. Listen. You hear that? It's the sound of silence. Right. It's the most beautiful sound in the world. Okay, now after 4 weeks, it was enough. Like Diana, I was done. But it was incredible the first trip out. And then the second trip, it was like, okay, I got the routine of it. Like I got my suitcases. Oh, I brought my kosher suitcase. The production company bought me a suitcase with all my pots and pans. Amazing. I koshered a kitchen. They gave me an Airbnb instead of a hotel so that I could actually cook and eat real food. You can't be on the road for 4 weeks and eat garbage food. And not every city had kosher food. So I literally went to Whole Foods and the grocery store and I bought food. And I was you want to know an inside secret? Sorry, inside secret. Whenever I was in a city for Shabbos, I invited the person I was working with to my Shabbos table. I did Shabbos with Harmony, and I did Shabbos with Noah, and Nikisha was married, and I wasn't meeting them for Shabbos, and we had a Thursday night
That's
dinner.
So you, right?
Totally.
And then you made them stay for Malaka Malaka.
And then we just hung out, and we did Shabbos together. It was incredible. It was so, and they're like, "You're gonna cook for me?" And I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "When do you have time to cook?" I'm like, "Look, you guys are on the set more than me. I just had I'm done. I think I'm gonna go home and cook." Yeah, it was really incredible. I even had in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, I had a client that was in Seattle, and I called him. I said, "Listen, I'm in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. I'm not so far from you." He's like, "Oh my gosh, it's on my bucket list." I said, "Let me tell you something. I'm gonna be here for tomorrow. I have off. I have a rental car. I've got 24 hours to do whatever. Get yourself a ticket, rent yourself a hotel room, and I'll show you around the town. And I got this one guy from the show. He's going to give us a tour. We're going to go on a hike. We're going to do everything." My husband knows him because he came to Philly to meet us. Really sweet guy. He flew in. We went with the other guy, Noah, who showed us all around. He took us to the Grand Teton Mountains, hiking in the middle of a snowstorm. It was incredible. And he's like, "It was on my bucket list." And he's like, "Wow, what you can do in 24 hours."
It's amazing by the way.
He's like, "I would have never gotten there and to rent a car, to this, to that." Like everything was
some things have to be enforced, right? Kind of like
it was so I would have given it more notice had I known.
No, I'm saying if you try to plan these things, it never happens.
So spontaneous.
That's what I mean.
It was so incredible. And it was really special. Some of my real clients I met in the cities that I actually went to because I had extra time and I could. And my matchmakers I got to meet in person also. And then I worked with all the show people. And then on my off hours, I'm matching everybody up. My real clients, my show clients. So just heavily working with matchmaking and all of my matchmakers behind the scene because I couldn't announce on my social media, "Hey, I'm on this show and I need a match for so-and-so." I couldn't utilize my network in the regular way. I had to have people secretly behind the scenes doing it for me because I couldn't say it was me. Mm-hmm. So it was really like, God willing, a season 2. I mean,
shout to that.
Okay, I'm in. And it just, I could do it so much differently now. And also so many more people will apply and we'll have a broader range of people that we know want to be on TV, right? My network, I have good people.
Right.
And I may have an excellent match for you, but if they don't want to go on TV, it doesn't matter how good the match is. It's not a match I can make on TV. Right. So I need somebody who's a great match, who's willing to go on a show. It just added a layer of complexity there.
Well, what kind of personality is the kind of person that wants to be on a reality show? Right? Were there many introverts?
Okay, so
like you just proportionate extroverts.
So Aaron, who dated Harmony, is
totally from New Hampshire.
Yeah, from Vermont.
Yeah,
Vermont. Yeah. And I know his sister, and he's totally not the type of human to go on a show. And he said, "But I really want to meet my person." And my sister said she knows you personally, and you're a great matchmaker. And let me give it a shot because I really am sincere about this. And he gave it a real go. He made a huge effort. Here's something you don't know. They were supposed to meet in Miami. We were filming in Miami. He was there for work, and she was flying in to see her grandma in Miami. She gets COVID, and we can't film. And then he has to fly out to LA to do it, and he did. And it was really special. So like and COVID was a big thing. You always had to have a test and this and that. It's like, do I risk going out? Because if I go out and then I have a test and then I'm not good and then I can't be on camera. We had a bunch of dates that got canceled because of COVID. So you could have a great match. You never saw it. I never saw it. Nobody saw it.
Right.
You know, it could be made off camera, but it definitely can't be made on.
Right.
So there was just a lot of hurdles that we had to get over. So yeah, you had to be ready for TV. You had to not have COVID during that time. You had to be able to fly out. You had to be in that city. You had to be really super flexible with your timing. There was a lot of things to coordinate. A lot of coordination.
Jeez, what was the hardest part? Other than being away from family and traveling, was like actually being regarding like doing the work, being on set specifically.
I loved being on set. That was not hard at all for me. People on set were incredible. Everybody from
how much of a team was there doing everything? I mean,
about 15 people.
All the 15.
So you had 1 or 2 producers on the set. you had cameramen, audio, all of the assistants, you had the overall coordinator, you know, everybody who's getting lunch and the interns who are running the thing and bringing the vans and showing up. There were like 3 different minivans that show up with all the equipment. They set up tents and the food and like every day is an unbelievable production from early in the morning till late at night. I don't need to be there that whole time, but they do. It is a nonstop job when they're on the set.
Right.
It's really tremendous.
So if you were to do a season 2, how would it look differently?
That is a good question. They do want, you know, like a little bit of spice or something different. So I have all my like Aleeza-isms, date them till you hate them, when in doubt go out, analysis paralysis, mystery in your history. I've got a whole slew of not just slogans, but ways of helping people go through the process and sort of mentoring and coaching them along the way in addition to the matchmaking. And the one thing that we didn't really talk about is my signature program, which is called Soulmate Clarity, which you want to see it, what it actually looks like. You want me to like?
Yeah. That's right here.
No, because this is
what's Soulmate Clarity?
Okay, this is insane, and you're gonna love it. I'm just gonna show you a quick something to give you a taste of it. But it basically shows you a chart or a graph of a current relationship that you might be in, and how to know if this is your person or not, and how to make it work. So hold on, I gotta get this to line up, and I can't show you the person's name. So let me. Oh, this is a made up one anyway. This is good. We made these up. Okay, so I'm gonna hold it. You gotta show me the camera so I can see. Make it really, really close. Okay, so I'm trying to hold that straight like that. So where there's a little blue box.
If you send this in advance to me, I would have been able to.
Oh, sorry, but where there's a little blue box on this side, that is your overall soulmate potential. And you see the green, the orange, and the yellow. And then you see 3 different categories, which is your, I'm going to pull it back for a minute so I can just tell you some things here. But it is where you're aligned, where it's acceptable, and where it's a potential deal breaker. So green is alignment, yellow is acceptable, orange is a potential deal breaker.
What are the most common potential deal breakers?
Looks,
No.
personality, annoying behaviors and or habits, not treating somebody well. Like you look nice, I thought you were nice, but you
We're addicted to the waiter. That kind of thing.
Yeah, you're rude to the waiter, and really you end up being rude to me, and I don't like it. Financial instability, although that often shows up as a value because when people really want it. So whatever you put in each category, you can't double up. Okay, so if in the qualities that you're looking for, qualities and personalities, like values of what you want, if you put financial stability in terms of fears, we're not going to list that I'm afraid of not having financial stability. We already said it's going to be in your qualities, so we're not going to double it up. And I'm not going to put it as an irritant. You don't have a job, and that you're not having a job bothers me. Again, it's going to already be marked in one category. The first category that it appears in, it gets marked, and then the other categories, you got to put other information.
So this is really what you're helping people to do is kind of sharpen their clarity of who they are, what they're looking for, what they need, and be able to decipher this person, it will be a waste of my time and their time.
Correct.
As opposed to I can focus on.
So not a waste of their time, but whether there is potential or there is a significant lack of potential, or there's potentially potential, but we don't have enough data, and here's what you have to figure out. So it's a lot of people talk about a decision tree. A lot of people talk about pros and cons list. This is that on steroids.
Yeah,
Plus
I mean, if someone wants to see that, where would they go? What's your website?
marriagemindedmentor.com. Right, you can do that, or if you can't remember all that, my name is Aleeza Ben Shalom with 2 E's.
Or you can just
message me. You can just go to AleezaBenShalom.com.
Or tag me.
And it's on there, and if you go, whatever, you can go on there and find it. But this is like a high-end program that if you
guys, this is the real deal, because I see
look,
this.
I'm just going to show you this whole chart, like going up and down.
It's pretty hardcore.
Those are my full insights. It's a detailed piece of information about what's there, and it explains every single thing. And basically it says here, according to this assessment, based on the data that you've shared, this relationship has potential. There's enough to indicate that with intentional dating and self-awareness, that this could be a relationship that may develop into a secure foundation for a relationship.
How soon after did they fill that out? After 2 years, or what?
Yeah, that's a good question. So ideally, they have to have enough data where they know what bothers them about the other person. So I would say at least 3 dates. Like, you got to have some information there. And I make rules. So one of my rules is don't break up with them until you convince me why you have a really fantastic reason to break up with them.
Wait, so why would people break up with someone they don't have a good reason? I'm sure you can million.
Anxiety, stress, I don't know, I'm not feeling it, and I should know. So because I'm not feeling it, if it's not for sure a yes, it must be a no. Wrong logic. That's wrong. It's wrong. Because you're not feeling it, I don't know why you're not feeling it. Maybe it's a no. Maybe you have anxiety. Maybe they had anxiety. Maybe it was a lousy date. Maybe it was bad lighting and a bad day, and somebody had a horrible thing at job, and they just showed up looking like
and on the bad side.
And on the bad side, they're filming on the wrong side.
I get the good side.
We both have the same good side. We can't film together anymore. We're done, y'all.
That's it.
We can mirror eyes. Okay, Google. Okay, no. This is what I want. I want somebody right in the middle to split it so we can have his good side and my good side at the same time.
But your good side is much better. I think everyone would. And so, okay, let's talk about people that are married. What tips would you give to people to? So, tell me what you think this ends. In the first few years, I mean, give or take. Per couple, there's kind of like a lust, a new, unexciting, right? And then
you're lucky if you get a first 2 years. Sometimes it's
the first few months. Oh, even months. Okay.
I mean, I don't know. It depends on the couple.
Okay.
How long they've been dating.
Oh, right. So if they're dating longer, like I said, my friend who got married, he said everything was the same.
Yeah.
What a shame.
Yeah.
It was just a ceremony. Okay. So it was just an excuse to party, which I'm all for. But then after, right? What would you recommend that you've seen? Do you work with couples that are married to help them stay married or work on certain things? What advice would you give to those that want to work on their relationship? Because the honeymoon, the lust, that all that time goes, and then kicks in real life, the real shit, the real challenges, a lot of that excitement in and out. And then what I believe is love starts to kick in down the line, right? What are your thoughts on that, about, let's say, love kicking in? And what do you do to keep a marriage successful? Because I think a lot of people look back at like, oh, I remember, we used to X, Y, Z, and then not anymore, or less, or whatever. And, between just money and work and kids, et cetera, and the mortgage and other headaches, whatever, shit comes up. So what advice would you give to just, to people that are contently married, but like to help people be happier married, in the marriage?
Right. So the word for love in Hebrew is ahava, and the root of that word means to give. Okay, so giving equals love. It's not when I love you, therefore I will give to you. It's because I give to you, I will come to love you. Right? So a parent gives to a child over and over again. They're born, they feed them, they wipe them, they clean them, they play with them, they entertain them, they put them to sleep. Doing all of those things are acts of giving. And a parent comes to love a child because of those things. Does a child love a parent? Not as much as that parent loves that child. Now, maybe when the parent is at a certain age and stage where the child starts to take care of them 24/7, all the things like that, they will start to develop a love. But the quantity of time that a parent will give to a child versus a child giving to a parent normally is significantly greater. So who will have more love for the other? A parent will always have more love. It's a formula. It's not about how you feel. If you feel more love, that's nice. You feel an amount of love, but love is developed through giving, and the quantity of giving that you've done, comparatively speaking, to a parent is probably less. Not always true, not every circumstance, okay? Normal, healthy relationships that exist. Fair? Okay, so that's how we develop love. So in a relationship, people get into it, and they don't feel in love anymore. So they don't feel like giving, so they stop giving. Well, that's exactly what you need to grow your relationship and to grow your love. And because you stopped doing that, you, quote, fell out of love. No, you stopped giving, so you are no longer growing in love. So your love meter went from here to here to here because, yeah, you're dating and you did a great job of giving, and all of a sudden you're not. And it starts to decrease. It's kind of like muscles. They atrophy over time. If you are not consistently giving, it doesn't work. So Gary Chapman wrote the book, The 5 Love Languages, right? And talks about all different kinds of love languages, and those are ways that you're supposed to give, but don't give in the way that makes you happy.
That's what we all do, right?
That's give in the way that makes me happy, but that's not what your partner wants. So it's not enough to give. We have to give in a way that's beneficial for our partner to receive, right? So my husband loves acts of service. You give him a glass of water. You help to do the dishes. You do something for him. He is over the moon. By me, I'm like, oh, thank you. That was nice. Words of affirmation to me. You tell me something, and I'm like, that was fabulous. Thank you. That just like nourished my soul. It was like gas in the tank. I can go another 100 miles. So we each have different things that fuel us, but giving is the activating factor for developing love. And love is a verb. Okay. Love is a feeling that starts with an action, not the reverse. It's love is a feeling that starts with an action. Correct. You can't just have a feeling and therefore do it. You have to do it, and therefore you will come to have that feeling.
Amazing. So a lot of people might say, I don't know if I love him or her, so I can't marry him or her. Or things. Do people, you think, misunderstand what love is?
Yes.
And do you find that's preventing a lot of people from moving forward?
Yes. And they didn't have healthy relationships growing up. So if we look at the divorce rate now, well over 50% in the secular world, and even in the religious world, it's creeping up into the 20 percentile. It's a problem because people aren't growing up with healthy examples of loving relationships, and even relationships that are staying together. The happiness factor, if you ask people, like, are you motivated to get married? And they're like, no. And you're like, why? You're like, I don't know anybody who's happy who's married. Yeah.
But also, people that are happily married tend to not associate with those people.
That's also true.
So that's why, because they don't want to associate with you. As my mother says, it's not the age, it's the stage. It's a different stage in life, so they don't associate with you. It doesn't matter. You can associate with someone 30, 40 years older than you or younger than you, because you
got to find good role models.
Well, so I feel like we've lost that. And then therefore people might go to, like, it's great people might have you through Netflix, but I feel like, I think partly the digital age, social media, a lot of us have lost that, which is, I think, what your advice that I got is go find these community groups, right? To want to move to Jerusalem, is that find these community groups to go ahead and that's the best way to find them. Go to a synagogue, go to a shul, go to an extracurricular, something that brings you together with other people.
Yeah.
Well,
doing something that's going to make you happy, a hobby, an interest, something that's going to draw you in, not just because you're going to meet people, but because even if you don't meet people, you'll still be doing something you love.
Right.
And that'll make you more interesting.
Right.
You need to be interesting.
Right. And you're putting yourself out there also to find people. Awesome. Exactly. Before we sign off and ask people where they can find you and learn more about your courses and classes and how they can get involved and you can help them find their life partner. What do you think was the best part? What do you think was the best advice that you can give to someone? Like, talkless, like, this is what most people are doing wrong. You may be doing it. Take 10 minutes. Think to yourself, is it possible you're not doing, you're not noticing?
I think often the biggest thing that people are doing wrong is they have a wrong assumption, which is, I've never met anybody up until now. I'm never going to meet anybody, and all the good people are taken. So for me, it's usually a mindset reset, which is you're always supposed to fail at dating until the one time you succeed.
Right.
So failure is just normal. It's not wrong. It's called normal, number one. Number two, all the good people are taken. Really? Because how many people are getting married every day, and how many people are still choosing to find their life partner?
Right.
You're just wrong. Again, it's a wrong assumption. It's not true. Look at the world. And also, I don't have enough money, age, stage, status, whatever. Oh, really? Because tall people and short people and skinny people and fat people and ugly people and poor people, everybody's getting married. Are you noticing a trend here?
Right.
People get married, and all of those things don't matter. So whatever you have in your brain as a reason about why you can't get married, it's really nice, but somebody else just like you did.
Yeah.
So if you get rid of your assumptions,
programs in a sense.
Yeah, just let it go. And then let's decide that in the blueprint of creation, your person comes into this world. All we're doing is playing Where's Waldo to find them. That's it. They exist. They are here. They are living. They are breathing. They are searching for you, God willing, and that you have the ability to find them. Of course, it's an assumption. People say, "Oh, do you really think there's somebody for everybody?" I said, "I know it. It's just how the world was created. So of course, that's the way it is." Will you choose to marry them? I don't know. That's up to you. God gives you free will. So you can do it. Whether you believe in God or you don't, I'm sure you believe in free will. You can do anything you want. So either pick them and marry them or don't. It's your choice.
Awesome. Amazing. All right. So we're going to finish up here. Where can people find you?
You can find me at marriagemindedmentor.com.
Right.
If you can't remember that, you can just look up my name. I think I forwarded it there. So Aleeza Ben Shalom.
And what socials would you use best for them to?
Instagram, we are growing by the thousands.
Sure.
We start, by the way, like 2 weeks ago, we started at under 3,000 and now we're over 30,000. So Instagram, tag me, follow me.
And Aleeza Ben Shalom.
Aleeza Ben Shalom.
Amazing, love it. And if someone wants to get involved in the dating stuff and learn more through Marriage Minded Mentor, they'll be able to
go to my website. We have courses, we have matchmaking, we have coaching. People are like, "Oh, I don't want coaching, I want matchmaking." I said, coaching is a form of matchmaking. And a lot of my clients get married through the coaching process. Most people think they need somebody to set them up, and they really don't. They just need to be a better matchmaker. So we're offering a free intro course to be your own matchmaker. And teaching them everything that we're doing. It's on the front page of the website. You can just click there, sign up, and it's on the 31st, I think.
Oh, wait, and okay, I remember wanted to ask you this, like Shabbat, but okay, what percentage of people that sign up for your courses are women? What are men?
In this industry, I would say 75-25.
75% women. So on the dating apps, which is the opposite, through Aleeza, you get more women. So men, this is your chance.
The dating apps, there's more men than women?
No, on the dating app. Oh, no. There's, sorry, I misspoke. On the dating apps, women are far more, let's say, selective. There was this whole study. It's fascinating. I should send this to you.
Okay.
About so they see which way that they would swipe and what they look for, women and men, and what percentage were interested in what. And we found that it was like 90% of men got rejected. That like didn't. I don't remember which app this was. It's one specific app. They rejected the 90% of the suggestions, and it was just like, was it like a picture? And
a few words. Yeah.
Right, exactly, a few words, and I think men rejected like 20%, and that was fascinating. So there's a much higher rejection rate for men on these dating apps.
Interesting. Women would tell you they don't believe that's true, but I'm glad we have a study to prove otherwise.
So no, I'll have to find it. And so it's fascinating. So for men that are like, because I think, I don't want to go into the whole thing. I'll just do a status and wealth and looks and blah. So a few men get all the positive swipes. I don't know which way it is, and women's the same. Let's say because the app's largely visual.
Yeah.
And it's not about the things that matter, like what you do. So if you want the things that matter, like you do, and you're looking for, I think it's a great opportunity. All right, Aleeza Ben Shalom, it's a pleasure. Thank you everyone for hanging out. We went over an hour and a half. Wait! Comment of the day. Gersha, two of my favorites. Please remember to bring my barbecue tongs. You have to hear.
I love you, honey.
I'll look for it. Love you, Gersha. All right, thank you, everyone. Thanks for watching.